2023 Robin's Birthday Poker Classic champion, David Abaganian. Welcome. Sincere to Crypto. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts, and today, like every single day, we're coming at you live from our studio in Las Vegas, Nevada. Today's show, we have a new Bitcoin president, potentially, as presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy says he owns Bitcoin and Ethereum, and he outlines what he would do to push crypto and Bitcoin adoption forward if he becomes president. We have our video there. Charles Hoskinson is mad. Today is Rate My Portfolio Day. We have Magic Internet Money joining us in about 5 to 8 minutes to do some TA. So excited. Bitcoin's over 38K. Now it's not. But you know what is on top again? It's me. As I mentioned yesterday, we had a get-together for Big Rob's early birthday, as his real birthday is tomorrow. And he decided to do a poker game. And I said, listen, man, I haven't played poker in a while, but I'm pretty damn good. Well, I proved myself last night as I came out victorious, and I won about $1,100. Can I get a round of applause, Rocco? Like, come on, man. Come on, dude.
But we have a proof that you won? Or
give me a round of applause,
we got to take
man.
your word for you won for real?
Can I at least get an applause? You're a hater, bro. I was going to give you a good birthday present, too, but I guess not.
Okay. Here we go. You got this.
I get a short one.
I got all the sound effects.
Anyways, I'm a winner, but you know who else is a winner? It's our channel sponsor, CAMS Blue Wire Technology. If you run a business and you want to maximize your networking, IT, and your cybersecurity, you're going to want to call CAMS Blue Wire Tech or visit bluewiretech.com and learn how they can help your business scale and grow so you can focus on making money. And there's also a link in the description of this video. And you might be wondering, what's Rob? Well, Rob, he hired a bartender. This dude's bougie, bro. He had a 7-course tasting menu, hired a bartender, hired a poker dealer, and apparently someone gave the bartender $100 and said, just keep bringing this dude drinks. Dude was messed up. I think he was still drunk when he woke up this morning. So I said, listen, bro, take the day off. You're fine. Me and Rocco got this. We got Magic coming on. It's going to be a fun show. And let's start right here. I don't have any funny with you.
No,
funny
come
stuff
on.
Today. I know.
Yeah, okay.
You know, sorry.
Why didn't you pull any?
And Indie Rock said, David's last name was also a spell you can cast in Harry Potter land. That's a good one. All right. So this is from James Seyffert. He is the Bloomberg analyst of ETFs. Him and his partner, Eric Balchunas, he's a senior analyst, but they both work at Bloomberg. We've had James on our show twice. Super cool guy. So he tweeted this. So apparently he threw some data out there. Someone said, hey, you're incorrect. So this is an updated version, right, of ETFs and some of the deadlines we're facing, right? So obviously the Grayscale one, the next deadline did already pass, and the final deadline is unknown, partially because of the court ruling, right? Then you have ARK and BlackRock, the two other biggest ones. So their next deadline for ARK is January 10th, and for BlackRock is January 15th. So what we've seen the SEC do, though, you might be looking at this chart, or we might be looking at this graphic and saying, well, that means ARK is going to get the leg up on BlackRock, right? Not necessarily. We've seen the SEC come out way earlier than the deadline and either delay or flat out deny, right? Because obviously they haven't approved anything. And they actually did that today. So this was tweeted by James about 20 minutes ago. The SEC went super early on Franklin, referring to Franklin Templeton. They weren't due for another decision until January 1st, but it's officially been delayed. But he does note in here, James does note in here that Franklin Templeton was the only issuer who didn't submit an updated S1 form. Wonder if that has any impact here. Potentially, yes. I'm not the expert here, but we'll just go with what James is saying. So the 15th of January. Now, a lot of people are saying we might see it in December. I don't know. All I know is when the damn thing is here, the price is going to moon. We're going to see a God candle on Bitcoin. We have a lot of people from JP Morgan Chase saying that, oh no, the price is going to tank when the SPY ETF goes live. Sure, there's going to be buying and selling, but there's a reason BlackRock decided, right? When Larry Fink came out and said, he compared the hits on their website, on BlackRock's website, for like stocks, and then compared to Bitcoin, it was like 600 to 1 multiple. And so people want it, right? You're heading into a new year. If financial advisors are smart enough and actually educate themselves on what a Bitcoin halving is, they'd be stupid not to put some of their clients' portfolio and money into Bitcoin. You start doing that on a grander scale in the largest capital market, the most liquid in the world, which is the United States. Do I need to say more? Hopefully not. And then, so this is a date we'll be watching out for, guys, January 15th. And again, we could see something like the SEC coming out either on the 10th or prior to the 10th, not only approving ARK, but approving every single one of these issuers who submitted an application as long as their paperwork is in order. And we saw with the last tweet I showed with James Safer, Franklin Templeton didn't have their S1 form in. So, but the good news, right? I know there's still some people out there that are saying that they don't think a spot ETF is going to get approved. The big news is, guys, we're seeing a shift from the SEC, right? They're actually communicating with the issuers. They're going back and forth. They're communicating, hey, we need this form. Who do you plan on having a custodian? Do you want to do a cash settlement or an on-basis settlement? So these are things that the SEC has been doing that it's never done before, which leads a lot of the experts, including people like James and Eric, who are saying that we are going to get a spot ETF soon. Then we have this video. So Altcoin Daily tweeted this, and then we retweeted it. So this is Charles Hoskinson. If you're not familiar, founder of Cardano. So he goes off on the SEC and Bitcoin. It's about 3 minutes long. We're going to watch it. We'll react to it. And then also we'll have Magic come on and we'll do some TA. So here we go. Whoops. Oh, give me 2 seconds. I got to change the source on my audio. Let's try that one more time.
Okay, well, then they come in and say it's a security. Okay, well, what the hell does that mean if it's decentralized? How does Bitcoin register? Oh, but it's not. Then explain to me the fucking difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano and the rest of the gang. Explain it to me. Like I'm 5 years old. Run the goddamn Howey test on it and show me the difference between the two. Tell me, is there an expectation of return with the goddamn orange pill moon boys? It's there. There's so many different planks and angles that you can take a look at this thing from. And by the way, if you subpoena an attack about 3 different entities, you could perform a 51% attack on Bitcoin because that's the way the hash power works. But it's decentralized, apparently. And Team Orange gets a complete pass. It's a pathetic fucking joke. It's an absolutely pathetic joke. You know, and it would be funny if not for the fact that hundreds of millions of dollars of legal fees have been exhausted in this Pyrrhic war that's being fought on the industry. And they'll lose court case after court case, as they already have, and will continue. And then at some point, it'll stop. There will not be an apology. There's not going to be any money that comes back, and we'll just move on. Like we did with the Kennedy assassination. We'll just move on. Like we did with Vietnam. We'll just move on. Like we did with Iraq and Afghanistan. We'll just move on like we're doing right now with COVID. We'll just move on like we did with all the things that have happened the last 50, 60, 70 years in the United States history. It has to stop. It honestly has to stop. Why do I praise libertarians come in? Because the only people that seem to think the only people seem to improve the situation, the people that are unraveling the government. It's not accountable anymore. People harm people, they get away with it, and they just move on, and nothing changes. I'm tired of it. I think our industry is tired of it. The entire reason cryptocurrencies exist is not because somebody woke up and said, man, tokens on the internet is such a good idea. The entire reason cryptocurrencies exist is that we're trying collectively to reestablish the social contract, because the social contract is horrifically broken. If the people in charge are unelected, unaccountable, and don't ever have to prove to us, the beneficiaries of the public trust, that they're doing good for us. And when they screw up, nothing happens to them. They get a promotion, they get elected to higher office, and we just have to move on as a society. That is not a government for the people, by the people, of the people.
That is such a good point, right? All these lawsuits that, you know, Jay Clayton, Gary Gensler, the SEC, the CFTC, whoever you want to throw in there, has brought to the crypto industry, and they've lost in court. Do you ever get a sorry? Do you ever see any of them held accountable? No. And it's very frustrating because, as Charles said, and I'll talk about the whole Bitcoin to Ethereum to Cardano, but think about the amount of money that companies like Ripple and Library Credits and Kraken and Coinbase and Binance and insert name here have spent on defending themselves against an agency, right? And a person, Gary Gensler, who is literally just trying to throw darts at the wall and to harvest victories to put in his pocket, right? To show that I'm tough on crypto, right? He wants to be a martyr against crypto, which I don't understand why.
But
But
let me ask you something, Dave.
yeah,
So I really want to understand something. Charles comes out now. Is all
fired up.
crazy about what happened. Jay Clayton, where he was 3 years ago. I'm sorry, but it did just happen to XRP, and he even had something to say with all the people at XRP. Now, he finally, when he touched him, he want to become the liberal, save the world. I don't know. It seems a little
What did you
contradictory.
expect him to do? What did you want him to do?
But what he wants him to do from us to change the world, how? And change,
I'm-
do it. What he's talking about? Sorry, I don't agree. It just kind of actually fired me off a little more.
Really? Okay. So what don't you agree with?
The fact that now he want to say, oh, we need to be revolutionary, go against the grain, try to change the world. What he's talking about? I don't understand it.
I think for me watching this video, I think everyone is just at a point where we're just sick and tired of these martyrs who hold political office, who have power and money that keep going after some of the most brightest people in our space.
Well, you want to change it? Put down $1 billion like Ripple spent it. It changed the direction of the situation. I guess that's what it is. Now he's going to touch his wallet. Is screaming like crazy. I don't know. That's what I feel like. No.
I don't know, man.
That's what I see.
I don't know. I do want to. There was a comment on the original post. There was a comment on the original post, I believe, from Adam Bach. Here we go. So he, when Charles talked about Bitcoin and Cardano ETH, what's the difference, right? Well, Adam Bach, who's a Bitcoin maxi, said it's very simple. Bitcoin did not have an ICO. Most people thought it had no value. It was mined from zero. It is decentralized. There was no CEO. ICO war chest, no foundation, no incorporation. So Cardano ETH, it clearly passed the Howey test. Bitcoin as a commodity does not, to which Charles replied, there was no ICO. There was an airdrop and a distribution, and then thousands of people who never met each other traded ADA on exchanges. And so they kind of went back and forth. But I think Bitcoin, I'm going to disagree with Charles here. I think Bitcoin is different for that exact reason that Adam Bach said. I don't necessarily agree with everything that Adam has said in the past or anything that these Bitcoin maxis say. But you got to admit, guys, like if you airdrop or there's a face of your project, someone who can make a decision. I know Cardano is central or more decentralized than I would say 99.9% of the altcoins out there. There's still an entity behind it. So I understand from that point of view. I'm curious to maybe get the opinion of my friend Magic Internet Money, who's joining us today. So let's go ahead and patch him in. Magic Man, how you doing?
Hey, how we doing? Sorry, I almost had a boomer moment there. I was trying to talk while I was muted. So
it's all good, man. Thank you so much for joining us again. You joined us last Tuesday. You're here this Tuesday. Hopefully you'll be here next Tuesday. Magic, I know you mainly do charts, but I'm curious. Do you have any comment on what Charles is saying, whether it's the whole comparing Bitcoin to Cardano and Ethereum, or whether it's the amount of money that people in the space have spent and how it could have been used for better use cases than to just, defend themselves against people like Gary Gensler?
I don't really have a ton of opinion on it. You know that. I do think that comparing cryptos is something that people should shy away from a little bit because it does create tribalism. And there's going to be lots of winners in this space, in my opinion, and they're all going to kind of do different things. Some of them might do the same thing. And you may have winners in multiple sectors. That's why it's a good idea to be well diversified. So, comparing the two and, kind of taking a dump on one coin over the other just because it's not Bitcoin or it's not Cardano, I don't think it's healthy. So But
I-
you know what you guys do with your money? People get really emotional when they invest their money. So
I've never understood that. I'm like the tribalism and like, oh, Chainlink versus Quant, who's gonna do this better? Like, who gives a
I hold
shit?
both.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I have both.
we're so early in a brand new technology. What I feel like a lot of people don't understand. What if crypto and blockchain is truly utilized the way it should be, it's gonna change everything from retail to tokenization to real estate to freaking government debt to IDs to DMV. I mean, everything. And we're over here arguing about, no, your project sucks because my project's the leader. Like, who gives a crap, man?
Yeah.
Get exposure to all of them if you want.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that people should be too stretched out in the exposure, but I do think that if you're attacking a certain vertical, like let's say you're looking at Chainlink and Quant, for instance, you know, you could allocate more to Link and then say, you know, I do think that Quant still has potential here. So why wouldn't I at least have a little bit of an exposure? I know you're going to talk about someone's portfolio today, and that comes down to percentage and management. You know, you could say, well, I want 20% in this vertical of crypto, and maybe I own, you know, 14 or 15% of Link, and then 5% of that 20% is going to be into, you know, Quant, whatever it may be. So just however risky you want to be.
Yeah, and I agree. And you did mention we do have a portfolio we're going to rate. But first, Magic, Bitcoin, over $38,000. Let's take a look at the coin market cap. $38,063. We did get as high as, I believe, 38.2, up 2.8% on the 24-hour, 2.64% on the 7-day. I do have a Bitcoin article here, I believe, right here. So, and I want to kind of tie this into when you do your TA with Bitcoin Magic, if you don't mind, of course. Bitcoin remains on track for 100K by the end of the year, said Standard Charter. A lot of it has to do with the spot ETF. What are we seeing on Bitcoin on the market structure, the structure of the price, and then what would a run up to 100K maybe look like? What would be some stops along the way? What would be some big resistances along the way? If we do clear the all-time high, how does price typically act? Is it just a straight shot? Because we might have some new people watching as well.
Yeah. That's a good question. Let's go over the current price action real quick, and then we'll talk about what happens if we do something that I don't think we're going to do, but if this guy gets his prediction correct, you know. So if you recall, last week we were looking for a new high as we were right here looking at 38,107. We made it. We have not touched my high time frame box. Quick rundown on why that's a box, guys. Again, these are just high time frame range rotations. It's all we're looking to do is go from value area to value area, right? And this is 2022. And if you recall, anytime we were above about 30, we'll call it $31,000, $32,000 here, or the point of control of this old consolidation here and here, you're looking for 38K, which coincides nicely with a 2022 year rotation. And this was a huge range that had a lot of inefficiencies that it's just balancing out. So if you included current data with it, and you just called it a 2-year range, you can see that you've got one big volume gap left that's going to start filling in. And it's going to be up here towards the highs with a high volume node outside of your value area, right around 38,922 up to 39,675. And one reason why you want those targets is, well, it's a nice daily settle up here, but you do have a naked point of control from a 6-month range. So for me, I'm still looking up until there is a sign of weakness. Our sign of weakness was loss of 35,750. We do have to move that up now. Now that you've come up and you've actually swung failed this level here, we can mark it on our chart. Let's change the color of that. It's nice and bright, and I'm going to make it so that it is dotted so you guys can kind of see it. It's a little different. So you've swung failed the local high from the previous week, right? You've now got this high from the most recent previous week. Getting it back above 38,107 and living there is going to allow you to push above 38,450 and try to get into this zone. And this is an area that I would be cautious in. Cautiously bullish. If you get above this, you're looking up to, probably, barring a swing fail at 42, but you're really looking all the way up to about 47 to maybe even as high as like 50, 52K. It just depends. It's kind of a wide zone.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
If you push above 38K, realistically, oh yeah, bull. You get above 38K and you're living there, like you can see that right here. We'll take this box and we'll just move it over to the left. And historically, that's what you want to see. You want to see this move above this zone, hold this as support. And anytime that you're above this area on the chart, what happens? Good things, right? So you can see that why we would start looking towards, 49, 50. And then you have untapped averages that didn't get tapped on the move down, which becomes statistical targets for me again, that we're going to fill these back in. So I'd be, looking pretty much at this consolidation. Now, your question about what does 100K look like? Anything above this little guy right here, and you're looking all the way back up to all-time highs, which is a pretty big area on the chart. It was a macro gold pocket from a trend-based standpoint. It was the 1.618 golden, ratio and log scale. It had some negative Fibonacci confluence plus time. What does it look like if we break out of that? I mean, realistically on Bitcoin, once it breaks all-time high, which over here, you had a little bit of consolidation just underneath it, it doesn't really come back. The people that are saying that they're going to, short this and get in, they're going to get left in the dust. And that's pretty much what happens right here. So if we are going vertical accumulation and that this is going to be an all-time high, that's what I would expect. I would expect something very similar to this, or very similar to how 2015 and 16 was, where it was just a slow grind up. No one really ever got that secondary dip because that secondary dip was all the way down here. That was their opportunity. Now they're sidelined. So locally, though, I will say you have come up to resistance. So be careful. Even if we don't push this box, there are things that you can do to set yourself up for success so that you don't get caught buying the top. This may remain range bound, and that would imply losing about 37,816 down to the previous day high at 37,587. So this is like a little zone here. This area of the chart is going to be fairly important. It's just above your weekly and previous week open. And we'll look at it on the weekly chart briefly before we move on, just because it's important to note that. But yeah, if you start breaking back below this region of the chart, you can see your consolidations here. Yeah, you're probably looking back down towards, closer to 36.4. And then you start saying, okay, what's my incoming average for the next month? And it's all the way down here. So you start losing 37.8, and I start really looking for another $1,000, maybe further on the drop. And that's not a bad thing. It's just a range bound play, which I do have a trade for. This is something I started setting up yesterday when we were live. I was looking for something like this. If we remain range bound, you'd be looking at something where you come up to the highs, you don't quite break out, you make your way back into the range, which would imply a breakdown of this 37.8 to 37,587 level. Then you can start looking for D down here and, trading for that. But you can't do that until you see the sign of weakness, which you haven't seen yet. So we'll see what we get.
Awesome.
But either way, I'm not actually looking for longs in this region because it's just not a good risk to reward. I would love to take another one from down here, though. The weekly. Why are these levels so important? Again, this is a previous week high, and you can see this weekly open and previous week in blue here. I believe that's blue anyway. If you start losing this region of the chart, just above these little dotted lines we just put on there, the rally starts to really look like it's topping out and you're starting to reverse, and then you got to take a look at other things like momentum. What's the environment like? And then where do I want to potentially buy the dip?
Magic,
that would be.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Do you ever look at like individual candles or maybe 2 or 3 candle patterns? Because I personally do, and I like to look at every candle as a trader or a group of traders, right? And I'm looking at that second candle from the right? And so
this guy right here.
Yeah, that's a spinning top or a doji, whatever you want to call it. But that thing's got massive wicks to the upside or downside. To me, it tells me that the bears and like it's just a tug of war, and people are undecided.
Range bound.
There's not one side that is winning, and it just closes right where it opened.
So this is where it can benefit you to zoom out a little bit. So I get what you're saying. And for us, if you recall 35,750, which was the October high, which was almost the exact low here, go out to the monthly chart. If that weekly is not giving you what you need, go out to the monthly. And what you'll notice is, okay, had we come down and lost 35,750 here, this candle looks completely different on the high time frames, doesn't it? Then you're like, okay, now I'm bearish there. So I really need to see this area be defended. And you go out to the weekly and the daily, and it kind of just starts to, add up, and then your levels make sense, things like that, right? But yeah, that weekly candle, it's, a lot of people are going to make a lot about it. Some people are going to say it's a really ugly candle, things like that, but you're correct. It's indecision. But one thing to note is that, anytime you've come into support, the dips have been for buying.
Yeah.
You know, look at the buy up on these. It's very clear that you're trying to put resistance or pressure on resistance. And for me, knowing that my formal resistance that I've outlined based on volume profile, based on other things is actually still a little bit higher, it kind of gives me that conviction that until we see that sign of weakness, I'm still looking for my targets to get hit. So kind of cautious on the shorts. Like I took a short above 38K last week, but I closed it. And I thought maybe I'm going to kick myself for this one. But you know, I ended up being correct. So price is going back up, and we'll see if we can actually hit this box formally and then what that's going to give us. Because anything above this and you're really just 42K, then straight up to, I would say anywhere from 46 to 52,000, which is crazy to think about. And that's a pretty big area on the chart. So,
you know, I do hope Santa Claus comes early this year and we get that 50K. That'd be nice. If you're excited for a 50K Bitcoin, put a 1 in the chat. We did have a, are you done with Bitcoin, by the way, Magic? Because I wanted to move on.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Ethereum
go
if you
ahead.
are.
Go
okay,
ahead.
perfect. So
Sure.
we did have a super chat. Someone super chatted us 59 Nokia phones. Just kidding. Norwegian crowns. So it said price prediction for ETH in November of 2024. I'll let you speak on that if you want to, Magic, but I do want to show this. Where is it? Right here. So apparently Raoul Pal is a TA guru, because said one of the most bullish charts I've seen, said Raoul Pal. He mentions a few things. He mentions a bull flag. He mentions a larger cup and handle. Said it's one of the most bullish charts he's seen. Also has this chart that shows Ethereum's price action comparison to the Fed net liquidity, saying that as the liquidity is growing, so is Ethereum's price. So I'll ask you on ETH there, Magic. We're looking at $22,059. ETH kind of has been, I feel like, I'm just speaking from a psychological and from a personal standpoint. Everything's rallying and Bitcoin 38K and ETH is $2,000 still. So what does that look like? And then if you want to talk about that November 2024, I know it's a year out, but
Sure.
Feel free if you want to speculate on that.
Yeah. So I actually have not touched this chart in months. These are the exact same levels we've had. So,
oh, wow.
The one area you want to see flipped right now is going to be 1946 to 1988, which you can see it's kind of making an attempt to. Main reason being is these are not only your 6-month high time frame averages from when you actually started forming this range, but your overall yearly average for 2022 that is now weighted for 2023 is right here. So this was always kind of a statistical target. Now it's kind of one of those areas that if you can get above it, we can really start speculating on higher. Merged range point of control for this one on Binance's USDT, which I used to favor quite a bit because of the volume. I don't really know what's going to happen with that now. Is $2,600. So I would be looking up, but that quarter one low was something we had marked out. And the reason being is, again, we always start on the high time frames. I know you know how I love that. Yep. But when you look at when the top came in, right, you made a really crucial low right here in January of 2022, showing you that this is going to be a big level right around 2155. And to put pressure on that level, what do we have to do? Well, we got to flip probably 1946 and 1988, this little zone we were just looking at. You flip that, you can put pressure here, and then you can actually start to look at this as, can I make this run up all the way to, $2,800, 3,000, things like that. And that's certainly in the cards if Bitcoin remained bullish and went to 48K. In terms of a next cycle prediction for Ethereum, I really don't have one. I know that's not popular to say, but anything above all-time high again on this asset for me is going to be, it's going to begin to be the thought process of taking profits is going to start. There's a really famous quote by Jesse Livermore that just because a stock is making new highs doesn't mean that you should sell it. Now, in crypto, that's probably something you should do, but because it crashes with her. But what he's saying is trends can go on for quite some time, and that if a stock is acting right and the environment's right, then you should let it make new highs and continue to reap that, right? So for me, realistically, I would still be looking for anywhere from 3,070 up to 3282 on this one. If it breaks above the quarter one low here and holds it at 2155, it would have to hold this level as support. And, you can look left and just kind of see what's going on. I know this is a messy chart and I apologize, but these are just the areas I'm looking to map out as we go. And, some of the basic things you can do are just fibs. Like a lot of times fibs work out really great on this, but 2155, big level. It's that quarterly low we made in January of last year after we topped out and just crashed. Bitcoin went from I believe the 69K high and their quarter one low was like 32, whereas this one is all the way down at 2155 from that over $4,800 high, which is crazy. And you can see this is your gold pocket as well. Nice. Yeah. Right up there between that 3,000 and like 3,200 area we were just talking about. So you still have a gold pocket up here too. So that would be my target if we start breaking out of this range. Otherwise, you start losing 1946 and we play the game of this July high again, which was a really big level for a long time. I try to keep it as simple as possible. A lot of times, if I can, on my levels, you've got resistance, closed below. Now you're support, deviation, support again. Looking to see if we can't do something like that, right? So very, very simple. The idea is there. Then you can do all the technical stuff and find your entries for trades and stuff like that later. But I'm long on ETH. I actually don't hold any shorts. So I haven't held shorts in a while. So it's just one of those things where I've just been sitting on bags at this point, hoping that, Gary Gensler lets us moon out of here.
And moon that like button, damn it. We're at like freaking 200 viewers and less than 100 likes. What the hell, man? Do you not like me? You want me to leave and leave Magic here with y'all? Jesus, hit the like button, please. For the love of Jesus Christ, amen. Sorry, I kind of...
Wow.
like when Robin's not here, I got to act a little more dumb, So.
Okay.
Yeah. Magic, I wanted to ask you real quick. For anyone maybe new to charting or new to the space, how important is it to make sure that whatever chart you pull up from the correct exchange, right? So if you're doing, let's say, Ethereum or Bitcoin, how important is it to make sure you pull it up from maybe the exchange that does the most volume and not maybe some smaller exchange? Do you consider that at all when you?
I like history. I like history personally. Most of the exchanges are going to be fairly close to each other if you're just going off a broad, high time frame chart. Now, if I'm looking for specific like day trading levels and I'm trading on a specific exchange, I'm probably going to trade or I'm going to chart on the exchange that I'm trading if I'm day trading it. But I chart on Bybit and I trade on MEXC now. So cool. Point blank, I prefer Bybit because I know the levels really well. Everything's always kind of where it needs to be. But the fee structure and their KYC policy doesn't fit my trading anymore. So I trade on MEXC for that reason.
Awesome. I see you growing in a mustache. I'm digging it, bro.
It's Movember, man. So I figured I'd do Max, my partner, a favor here because he's been rocking his stash for like a month.
I thought November was
lonely.
Something else. I thought it was
Snow Shave November. Then they've got Movember. I think there's like I think they do it for prostate cancer awareness, if I recall.
I thought there was also November. Could be wrong.
There is that one too. That's like every day in cryptocurrency land now. You know that.
We're too busy looking at our gains, bruh.
That's right.
Magic. So every Tuesday we do a segment called Rate My Portfolio, and you're gracious enough to lend more of your time to us, and I'm happy because this was a very interesting one. Okay, so I'm going to share the portfolio. So guys, thank you to everyone who submitted your portfolios. Just understand, just because we don't pick yours this week does not mean we're not going to maybe pick it next week or the week after. So this was submitted by someone. They're going to remain anonymous. So this is a $66,900 portfolio. Their goal is to 10x. Here's the thing, though. This is very intriguing because a lot of these coins, I'm like, what the hell is going on? You got 70K in a portfolio. Why is 20% of it in Casper, right? So I did a little digging. I asked some more information, and this person was kind enough to give me some more personal details. So they're 50 years old. They make over $250,000 a year. They own a business. They're self-employed. They've been in the space for a while. They've had this portfolio since 2019. And they told me that they wish they would have taken profits when everything started pumping, but they decided to let it sit. Everything came crashing down. And now the goal for this person is to take out 65%, leave 35% in certain ones. They also mentioned that they will be taking out more than 65% on some of the lower plays like VeChain, Telecoin, and Flare. So here's how it breaks down. 67K, 20% of it is in Casper, 18.5% in Quant, almost 15% in freaking Polkadot, 13.4% in Hedera, Constellation, DAG here, 11.8%, Algorand 8.2%, VeChain 6.5%, Telcoin, which I feel like is like EOS, that is 3.1%, Flare 2%, and Digibyte 1.3%. Magic, I'll give you the floor first, man. if you want to talk this through with Charts TA, if you want to give your personal, I don't know, man. What do you think about this portfolio? And be 100% honest.
We share a couple holdings. We share a little bit of HBAR, a little bit of Polkadot, some QNT. I didn't pull the trigger on Algo, even though I kind of charted for it. It's just not one, last cycle, ironically, I made a video on Algo at like 27 cents, said it was going to top out somewhere near $2. And I got a ton of hate for that, but that aged well. And I don't have any VeChain, but I do chart it. Some of these coins, I kind of a flash from the past, like Digibyte, Telcoin as well. But QNT actually has a setup that I'm actively trading, so I'll show my screen for that one. But
cool.
I have a pretty high time frame outlook on QNT that I've been going off of. Now, locally, I was trading this setup here. I was actually looking for $63 to $53 again, but I kind of decided that this was my line in the sand, just based off simple support and resistance. And what you've done is you've come down and you've actually started deviating and then reflipping to support. So for me, as long as we're living above like $94 or so, things are pretty hunky-dory with this one, and I'm actually looking to take it a little bit higher, I believe something like this, and that would be just a run up to like 130 to 135, maybe higher over time. The high time frame setup for this one that I've been talking about for about a year, man, I got to find that folder. I believe it's under idea only. It is all the way up there, and I was looking for this. Well, the timing on it wasn't bad. I was looking to basically trade this as we've made a 50% retrace and then start laddering in here to hold to basically backfill this entire range at expansion above $200. And then from there, you'll probably make all-time highs, to be quite honest with you, because I doubt it stops there. But that is the idea behind it. So for me, it really depends on when you got into these things, like what your average price is. But yeah, Quant is one that I picked up just because the risk to reward was good. I actually was able to call the bottom almost to the T off of a global point of control on that one. Very, very nice. So yeah, Quant, I do hold some Quant. Like I said, I'm a big Chainlink guy. It's my largest altcoin holding. So
yes,
but Quant's good. Yeah, I botched it. I DCA'd into Chainlink. I never DCA, and I botched my DCA a little bit. My average is only like $7-8, but it's not bad.
$7-8. That's bro. Look, man, some people say I'm insane. I think Chainlink's going to get to $300 to $500, bro. If everything they're doing, if their vision of CCIP comes to fruition, I can even think
Chainlink
I think get to the thousands as well. Just saying.
Yeah, Chainlink was one of my biggest holdings in the last bull run. I actually didn't know what it was. I used to see it get not promoted, but like talked about a lot on some TA shows that I used to watch. Crown Crypto, obviously, he was always called it the darling of the market. And then I always thought I was late to it, and I knew that we were getting not a crash, but I knew we were going to at least like 5K on Bitcoin probably in March before the COVID crash. So I was short on Bitcoin, but I put in a bunch of stink bids, and I picked up a bunch of Link like sub $1. And I just held a lot of it. I think I ended up selling like $33 or $34 on the way down after it made an all-time high. So made a good bag on that, and I'm looking to try to do it again. Polkadot's another one. This one was a really good, clean chart. You had a really nice monthly level of support, and then I believe this is a November in POC right here at 438. We worked off of this for a while, and then as it came back down below the support, you had a really key setup. You were talking about candlestick patterns earlier, and we'll kind of touch on that, and we'll touch on these targets. But when you go out to like the weekly chart, so again, we're zooming out for the high time frame plays, and you look at this. This is what I refer to them as a weekly swing fail or a weekly breaker. I know other people refer to breakers as different things, but you can see this has been the level at $3.76. And I actually posted this on Twitter for people when we hit it, that this was the level basically I've been looking for. Because I know in the group I had posted I was looking for it for several weeks. Then it was, do I have a setup down here to get long? And you certainly did. You actually swung failed the prior low here on the weekly. And even if we went down to a daily, you can see that this is a really nice trade where you've made a new low, reclaimed the low, back tested it, and now you're making new highs. And you had really, really nice averages that were untapped above you right here. So 576 was our next target. Once you're above that, we're looking 619, 680, and so forth. And eventually, there is one all the way up here like at $13. And so that's why I was accumulating Polkadot here in this region. And if it comes back down, I'll look at my options to maybe pick up a little more, because I do take profits, believe it or not, on the way up. I do leave some as well. I like to pay myself as I go. Trader's mentality there, I suppose. But yeah, this is just the trend for 2023. You can see it is down. So it's trying to break out of its trend, which would be a good sign if it can do so. But a lot of these things are going to have pivots that start coming in here. Now, when you're looking at something like this and you're looking for a swing trade and you know the market's starting to shift, right? One thing I like to do is I do pull the annual ranges just because it's a lot of data all at once. And what you can see as well is if you can break this 2023 downtrend, you can also get back inside that 2023 range and validate some of these higher targets, right? And you may not be buying the bottom here if you can get in on a setup, but this is like 10%, 20%, 30%. These are big ranges. So there's money to be made there if you want to, right? So that's how I'm looking at Polkadot. And then HBAR was a big one. I didn't buy a lot of HBAR. Can't claim that I chatted the bottom, but it was one of those that I've got some guys in the group that trade it pretty religiously. They like it. I do talk a lot of smack on things like HBAR. And the only reason I do is because I call them community coins. And I think community coins can be dangerous. It's because they are. People fall in love with them and they get toxic. So I just have to like
sorry, did I say that out loud? My bad.
Yeah. Oh man. I feel bad for those guys though. I really do because I kind of do. I mean, they had to have known, but at the same time, like you never want to see someone get taken for a ride like that. This is the level we actually mapped out on your show. This is the same box. We mapped this box out over a year ago, looking at this consolidation and that these were the areas we wanted to buy. And I believe it was trading somewhere over in this region back in November of 2022. You dipped into it, made the yearly open, and you've actually never come back to it. So like 3.65 cents, give or take, that was the area to start looking to accumulate. And if this breaks out of the 2020 high, which is right here, you can see that's been your resistance. I mean, you've got upside. You've got upside to 12, 13, 15 cents pretty easily. And so these are, from where you are right now, this is like 400%. Is that going to happen overnight? Probably not. It may even come back down here and give you a double dip, which to me is a buying opportunity. Now, if the market turns sour and all the doomers that have been doomed, this entire 150% move up on Bitcoin, if they end up correct and we lose this box, it's probably going to like a penny. But, we can't trade for that right now. So for me, cautiously watching HBAR with the small bag I have. And if it breaks out of, 7 cents to 8.3, this little like 1 penny zone here, you've got some significant upside to potentially run like a full like 50 to 100% from there.
Oh,
so
damn.
Yeah. And then what it does on the actual cycle is what it does. You always want to leave a little moon bag, right? As they say. So I try to allocate my portfolios weighted pretty heavily to Bitcoin. But I do have exposure to alts because it's really kind of silly not to.
Right.
Being a total maxi is not a good idea.
I 100% agree. And, for me personally, majority of my portfolio is in Bitcoin, about 60, 70%. Then, well, it was closer to 75. That number's come down a little bit. Man, Magic, thank you so much. We told you only wanted you for 15 minutes. We kept you for like 40. So we appreciate your time, man.
I love it.
I did throw in Magic's website, leadingcrypto.io. We pinned it in the chat. Go visit the website if you want more Magic Internet money. Anything you want to say, my friend, before we let you go?
No, guys, we're getting to the fun part of the market, it seems like. So enjoy it. Be safe with your capital. And, if something seems too good to be true, maybe heed that caution a little bit.
So you're saying if I lock it up for 15 years, I can't make 6,944%?
Yeah, that's what I mean. We are getting to the fun part of the market, but that also brings scammers, guys. So
Very
be careful. You know what I mean? Point. So and don't send anyone crypto over the internet. That's just rule number one. For anyone that's new to the market, that's been a rule since 2017. Because once you send it, it's not yours anymore and it's gone. And you're never getting that back. So
some great advice, Magic. We appreciate you, man. We love having you on. We look forward to bringing you on again next week. Enjoy the rest of your day, brother. And we'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Take care. All right. So me, portfolio, rate. Okay. Here. Where the hell is Bitcoin, bro? Where the hell is BTC? You got 70K, 0 Bitcoin. Unacceptable. Way too much Casper. I don't even know. I know what Casper was. I'm like, okay, is Casper actually a crybaby? Potentially is. 3 cents, all-time high of $5. Okay. I know someone, Redman mentioned that Lifer had was doing a chart today and said it looks like a dead chart. To me, actually, they have been making higher lows, so which is a good thing, right? But I went over to their analytics dashboard, and only 400 total contracts on the network. That's pretty tiny. 145 NFT contracts, 106 token contracts, which I mean, it's a decent amount. But to have 20% of your entire portfolio, and this person might have a separate portfolio also, but we're only rating this one. To have 20% in this, and then Quant 18%, I think is too much, but okay. Dot 15%, way too much. Way too much Dot. I would drop this number to 5 or less. Hedera, I'd like to see that a little less. Get rid of DAG, get rid of freaking Tell, get rid of Flare, get rid of Digibyte. Maybe downsize Chainlink, and literally the remaining, just throw it in a Bitcoin and Chainlink, bro. Throw it in a Bitcoin and Chainlink. This person is 50 years old. I know the older you get in age and closer you get to retirement, I don't mean this in a negative way, but the closer you get to retirement, typically you want to be a little more conservative versus risky, right? You're risky in your 20s, 30s, 40s. Once you get into your 50s and 60s, you want to start kind of protecting your nest egg a little bit more. We know this person makes a decent amount of money, right? $250,000 is not, that's top 1%. But still, I would rate this maybe a 3.5 out of 10. What would you guys rate it? 1 out of 10. 1 is the worst thing you've ever seen. 10 is this is God's portfolio. Put a 1 out of 10. Let us know. And then Rocco, real quick, do you have any thoughts on this? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, Jess, I want to ask you. You say get rid of it, all this stuff that you don't like it, but the idea is how you get rid of it. Now you gotta wait for the next cycle to get rid of it.
That's a good point.
Because you're gonna go and sell Flare, Tell, and everything else. So
let me ask you this question though: would it be worth? Let's say he bought Casper at the very top, $5, right? And he's down 99%, right? He still has what's 20% of 67,000. Still has 13K in Casper. Would it be better off selling that, putting that 13K into, let's say, 7K in a Bitcoin at 38K, and the rest in a Chainlink at $13, $14 versus waiting and hoping Casper even sniffs its previous all-time high?
I mean,
there's also opportunity costs.
No, there is some things to before to talk about it. Like, okay, when you get in, how much was this portfolio? It can never start with $3,000. And then all this stuff now is 67.
He did say he's had this since 2019, right?
So
he's had it since 2019, and if we scroll down here,
eventually this portfolio was even over $100,000 at some point.
It probably was, yeah.
And then he never sold, and now I try to I think the best way to do it is not to touch it now, really, and wait for the next cycle and see the opportunity to get rid of it, whatever you think, like you say, the stuff is old, the technology is over, and there are some better projects out there, and reevaluate all the portfolio per se. Add some Bitcoin, perhaps, sell the stuff, not all bags, but the stuff that you make a large profit on it, readjust all the, balance it out a little more. But I think right now you gotta wait. I don't think now is the right time.
I see it as there being opportunity costs and not having is just keeping it in there, and then maybe 2X's, maybe, versus take the L now, use it as for your taxes, right? Write down your taxes, put that 13K in a, I don't know, Chainlink, Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever, and now you're going to make 10, 15, 20X. I think that makes more sense.
The tax move right now. Maybe you take a loss right now and then rebuy in January.
Person makes $250,000 a year, so they make good money. Might be beneficial to them to write this down on their taxes. Who knows? Someone said, I wonder what channels they're watching. Whatever channels this person watches, stop watching. Is it Crypto Banter? I don't know. You know what, man? Maybe I'm trying to start some drama here. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Just kidding. All right, so I'm going to just go to the chat real quick.
Where are you going?
So just looking at the numbers, people are giving in a 2, 4.8. French Toaster said a 4.2. Rusty Chucky gave it a 3. Web3 and me a 1.25. Okay. Flat Smack 0F minus. I don't know if that's a number, but hey, maybe it identifies as a number. 3.5 from S-Dog. And Vlad gave it a 3. So interesting. Also, big shout out to all of you watching us on Rumble, Twitch, and or Twitter Live. We now have the bandwidth, guys. So you're going to be seeing us on more mediums and more platforms. So big shout out to all of you who are watching on all of those. I do want to cover this topic. A new Bitcoin president, potentially. So a presidential candidate, Vivek Ramaswamy, vows to bring up Bitcoin in a Republican debate. He said, if they don't do it, I will. Someone made a comment on one of our videos last week that said, what is this, a political show now? It was kind of rude, said I have to tune you out. And I'm like, listen, man, if it relates to crypto, we will talk about it, right? We're not taking a stance on politics here, but hey, got a guy running for president, said he's going to bring up Bitcoin in another debate. You don't want us to talk about it? Unacceptable. Then we had this video.
Calm down.
I'm juiced up today, bro. I'm $1,000 richer. I'm the champion of
Okay.
the semi-annual 2023 poker champion tournament. I'm on a high horse today, all right?
Okay,
Leave me
look.
alone.
Look.
So Vivek was on Peter McCormick's podcast, Simply Bitcoin, or What Bitcoin Did. And it's very interesting what he said. So he talks about his 3 core pillars when it comes to essentially Bitcoin. And this is a really good, insightful video. So let's watch it together.
With Warren trying to attack my work and my defense of my wealth, what would you do?
Because
particularly?
she has a fundamentally different worldview, right? Those of us who are having this conversation believe that we as individuals create a government that's accountable to us. The alternative worldview, you have to understand it, is that the state predates the individual, right? Your rights come from the government. They're not independent of that. And so if this proposes a threat to the existence of that state, then it's perfectly within the rights of the state to come after and prevent that from existing. And so I think there's a mistake that people in the, I would say in the lobbying community for Bitcoin or otherwise in Washington, D.C. make is, we just have to educate them. And once we educate them, then they'll understand. These people don't understand. No. You got it backwards. If only that were the problem. The problem isn't that they don't know what Bitcoin represents. It's that they do. And that's actually what creates the anaphylactic response.
So what's the answer? I'm conscious we got a 5-minute warning.
I'm having too much fun, guys.
Well, look, you can stay.
We didn't even get to the 3 pillars.
Out of here. We didn't even get to the 3 pillars of your new.
Well, let's get to it.
Well,
Yeah.
but just what should they do then?
So I laid a comprehensive crypto policy. People should go to my website, vivek2024.com, check it out. We get the details. I gave a detailed speech about it earlier today too. But I think that we have to restore the constitutional principles on which this country was founded. There's 3 core pillars to my policy. One is the freedom to code. On that list is that code is speech. You can't go after
Tornado Cash.
If you want to go after Tornado Cash, go after somebody for stealing something that belonged to somebody else or for fraud, but you can't go after somebody on the premise of the code that they developed. The code of speech is the First Amendment violation.
Amen.
Financial self-reliance. That's what Thomas Jefferson and Andrew Jackson would have stood for. Well, all of these AML laws and the know your customer laws, that's an infringement on your financial self-reliance. Get to the punchline on this one. Any self-hosted wallets or any regulations that impede the right to have self-hosted wallets rescinded. They're wrong. They're unconstitutional. And a lot of this dates back to the, third-party doctrine, which is something that I think the folks in the crypto space would do well to understand. It was infringement on our freedoms that began in the aftermath of 9/11 with the Patriot Act and otherwise. What did they basically say? They said that if you and I are having a conversation, we give up our right to privacy to a third party, namely the phone provider that's providing the phone that we're actually talking to each other through. That's a perversion of what the Constitution says or the law says. The current Supreme Court has begun to roll that back. Well, if you believe that, that means most of these know your customer laws and anti-money laundering laws that are being used to impede the anonymity of financial transactions, self-hosted wallets and otherwise, are also unconstitutional. So that's an opportunity that, again, it takes a president who understands that to see that through. So that's the second pillar. First is freedom to code. Second is freedom for financial self-reliance, punchline that applies to things like self-hosted wallets, not being impeded upon by unconstitutional regulations. Speaking of which, the third point then is the freedom to innovate without regulatory overreach. There's a Supreme Court case that came out last year, West Virginia versus EPA, that said several of those regulations coming out from the EPA are unconstitutional because Congress never gave them the authority to pass it. Well, that applies to basically every regulation the SEC is misusing to put a chokehold on not just Bitcoin, but cryptocurrencies more broadly. And any other regulations like the Biden administration is proposing to say that there should be a special excise tax on those who use electricity.
So a lot of good things here. And I know, I have a hard time believing everything, sometimes anything a politician says. But this person here, Vivek, he's not a career politician. He's a business guy, a successful businessman, right? He's got a lot of money and he's younger, right? I think he's in his mid 30s or early 40s. You can fact check me on that. But I like everything he said. I like that code is free speech. I love the fact that he brought up the Tornado Cash thing, right? Can you imagine if you're sitting on a potential life-changing innovation and you're too afraid to launch it or bring it to the public because if someone uses it for something negative or bad or illegal, you can be held liable. I think that's a line we don't want to walk. I think that's an area, gray area we don't want to play in because of what I just said. And I love the fact that in his comment, he said, well, he didn't say it on the video, but said that if no one's going to talk about Bitcoin, if no one's going to bring it up, I will. Please do. Please do, because more people need to be talking on it. And I think he's smart because he understands crypto as a whole, right? I know we have tribalism in different projects, and I'm a Chainlink maxi and hate quant. But I think at the end of the day, we all understand to some degree that we all are in the fight together against the government and politicians that are trying to hinder our space and the growth. And so if people like him are bringing it to light on the grander scheme of things, not just small podcasts, but on a presidential nominee debate stage where not only crypto YouTube is watching, but the entire world is watching, it's only going to push our space forward more. So what a great interview. A lot of great things he said. And so I don't know. What do you think, Rocco? Any thoughts on this one?
It sounds very good, really, all he said. But again, Vlad say it's gonna sound too good to be true. So I'm gonna take everything with a grain of salt. But yes, I like the idea. You cannot blame somebody to code something. And I hope he's gonna bring it out. But I don't know. Other candidate may not be ready for that. They're gonna slam it. Who knows what's gonna happen? I don't know. But yeah, I like the idea.
It'll be interesting to see if more candidates decide to take a stance on Bitcoin, whether it's positive or negative, to actually speak about it, because you see they get the press, they get the media attention, they get the support as this gentleman.
Especially if the ETF is going to be approved, the Bitcoin ETF, and may eventually, I don't know, the Ethereum one by the time it's going to happen. So maybe, it's going to be a different narrative. Maybe it's going to be a little more softer and I don't know.
I'm telling you guys, if we want to send a message, if you live in Massachusetts and you vote out Elizabeth Warren because she's so outspoken, literally came out and said the anti-crypto army. That's her media tagline. If you guys vote her out of office, I think that's going to send a message to the rest of the politicians. Stand against crypto at your own risk, at your own peril, because hey, it might be just might be the last campaign you run. And for it to be against crypto, bad news for you. I do want to give one last shout out to our channel sponsor, CAMS, Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business grow, maximize your networking, IT, and cybersecurity, visit bluewiretech.com. Also, a big thank you to all of you watching us, not just on YouTube, but on Twitter, Rumble, and Twitch. Make sure to go support us there and subscribe. And make sure to go support InAndOutCrypto.com, where you find not only Sin City Crypto merch, but other merch as well from your favorite projects. With that being said, Rocco! The winner's tornado, baby. Guys, big thank you for watching. Big thank you to our special host, special guest, Magic Internet Money. Come back tomorrow for an even better show. On behalf of all of us here, we love you guys. Tell Mar, baby.
Gotta
go to the DMV now.
I want to say thank you to Redman for joining us live today.
Crypto event. Wait, what?
Redman.
Oh, Redman. That's your crypto man.
Abolish your crypto tornado.
Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.